so excited for this presentation. Really, really pumped. We're going to have a lot of fun over this next little hour and a half. It's going to be a good time. I'm excited to be here with my good friend, Jesse Krieger, who stayed at my house the other day, and we were all around here. So we're actual in-person friends, not just internet friends, which is nice.
I thought you guys left you a signed book.
Yes. Oh, check it out. So while we're getting started here, guys, if you'll just comment and let me know, A, that you can hear me, and B, that you can see me. Of course, reffing the signed book by yours truly. There we go.
There it is. He was within arm's reach. That makes me feel really good. Right?
It is. I don't keep many books within arm's reach. Yeah. But if you guys can comment in the chat, I'm going to be manning it on my iPad here. Let me know, A, that you can hear me, and B, that you can see me. And then I'm going to pass it back to Jesse here in a sec. And then also we'll dive into the presentation. Also, if you'll comment in the chat and let us know where you're tuning in from, that would be fantastic.
Awesome. I see people are starting to show up here. And yeah, I want to say I'm excited for this presentation, Chandler, and excited to host you here to my audience. And everybody that's on this webinar for sure has seen Chandler as a familiar face in Bestseller Summit Online. When we did a Viewer's Choice Award, he was the #1 rated presenter. So you know he's going to bring the heat today. We've been talking in the green room, warming up, and he was telling me what he's put together for this presentation. And I'm super excited to have him here because, you know, Chandler is somebody that really is the real deal. He's got like 5 or 6 books in the market, over 1,000 5-star reviews across all of his books, helped literally hundreds, if not thousands of authors at this point through his self-publishing school training, and just his support for authors in general is second to none. So really, really an honor to be able to bring him on and to share his knowledge, his wisdom, his expertise with all of you. And with that, unless you got anything else you want me to add, Chandler, I'll throw it back over to you and kick this
thing. Let's do it. I'm going to pull up my screen here. And if you will let me know in the chat that A, you can see my screen now, there should be a title slide, and B, that you can hear me still, then that should be good. So,
and just
like we got Kimberly from.
It looks like a lot of people are sending a private message in the chat. So I don't know if there's a way to select send to everybody, or if you want them to just send private. But I see a whole bunch of people coming in here that we may or may not be seeing publicly. So with that, back over to you, buddy.
Cool, man. Yeah, so looks like, cool, Yakub, Denise, okay, seeing here. Yeah, perfect. All right, perfect. Let's do this thing. So you're on this presentation today. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be talking with Jesse's folks. I like Jesse personally. I love what he stands for. I love his business, and so I'm just honored that he would share me with you guys, right? Like bring you guys in here. So I'm excited for this presentation. Today, we're going to be talking all about how to start a $1,000 per month business in a weekend. Okay. Now a couple things before we get started. First off, I need your undivided attention. This is very, very important. I move fast. I talk very fast. I had someone on a webinar earlier today say, Chandler, you talk so fast. And it's true, but I'm trying to jam in as much information as possible for you so that I can help you as much as possible over the next hour and a half that we spend together. Okay. So what I need in return is I need to make sure that you close out all other distractions, turn your phone on Do Not Disturb, close the door to your office, whatever you need to do to make sure that I have your undivided attention. Also go ahead and get out a pen and paper so that you can take some notes. Okay, because we're going to be moving fast here. Now, if you're on the webinar, this probably isn't your first webinar. Maybe it is. But if you failed at starting a side business or writing a book in the past, I just wanted to kind of like say, first and foremost, it's okay. Like there's a lot of bad information out there, and there's a lot of misinformation. And a lot of people feel like this guy with information overload. And my job and my goal in this training is to cut through the crap and to give you just the stuff that works for you and for your business. Now, just a quick introduction. I'm not a fan of long introductions, but just so we can kind of get to know each other. I'm originally from Walhalla, South Carolina, which is the small town in the middle of nowhere that you've probably never heard of. But that's the reason for my slight Southern accent. And I currently live in San Francisco. I've written 6 best-selling books. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars from my books and taught thousands of people to write and publish their first book through my training program, Self-Publishing School. This is a business that I've built to over $5 million in the last 2.5 years. And all this despite being a C- English student. So I don't say this to brag. I just say this to know that you're listening to someone credible, and everything that I'm going to teach you today is from experience, what I've learned personally, and I've learned it the hard way, and I'd like for you to learn it the easy way. Now, a fun fact: my brother plays in the rock and roll band Need to Breathe. He's the one on the left-hand side here with long hair. I would be a bad brother if I didn't mention this. So if you have any Need to Breathe fans in the house. It's kind of a fun fact. And then this is just a little picture of my family. My family is super, super important to me. And this is us at Red Rocks and along with my brother there. So I want to start with a quick story. Has anyone ever heard of Robert Kiyosaki? He wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Everyone heard of this book? Or anyone heard of this book? Type in the chat box and let me know. I forgot to mention this earlier. I want this to be interactive. So I'm going to do call and response, and your messages will come straight back to me. The reason for that is we found in the past that when there's just a ton of chat going on, that people get distracted from what's actually being taught in the webinar. And so I want to make sure that it's not a distraction, but that we can have a two-way conversation here. Awesome. So it seems like a lot of people have heard of Robert Kiyosaki. So I wrote this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, I remember reading this book in high school. And I had an epiphany. I actually had 2 epiphanies. Number one was I decided that day that I wanted to run my own business one day. I wanted to create my own destiny, both for me and for my own family. And then the second, and probably the bigger epiphany, was about this concept he talks about called passive income, right? And he talks about how that provides freedom for you, for your family. It provides, all these things where you can create something once and then get paid for it forever. Now, in the book, Robert introduces passive income as this thing that can only be achieved through real estate, right? The way to passive income is through real estate. Now, but I don't know about you, but I remember reading this and thinking, gosh, I'm a high school kid. Like, I don't have $40,000 to put down on a house to get this passive income that he's talking about. Therefore, passive income is probably just out of reach, right? It's something that I won't be able to achieve, which is a huge bummer because this sounds awesome, right? So I kind of just said, all right, oh well, maybe I'll get there one day. But I still want to run a business. I still want to create a business. So I did what most people do, right? I said, I'm going to go to business school. You want to learn how to run a business? Go to business school. At least that was what I was thinking. Now, I remember going up to the admissions counselor and I said, hey, I'm here to learn how to run a business. This was at College of Charleston. You see on the screen there. I said, hey, I want to learn how to run a business. She said, well, first, first you need to go through all these prereqs. So all these things that, you got to learn before you get into business class. I was like, well, that doesn't make too much sense. I'm here to learn about business. And so we agreed to disagree, and I went on to take those prereqs, right? And I remember that was kind of like the first piece, and college was off to a bad start for me. Now, fast forward a little bit, and I'm in one of my classes, and I asked the professor a question. I say, hey, this is really great. How have you used this in your business? And he said, well, I've never ran a business. And that was another epiphany moment for me. I said, why am I sitting here learning how to run a business from professors who have never ran a business? That doesn't make too much sense to me. So I decided to drop out. Now, before I dropped out, I studied abroad in Austria. This was a time of introspection for me where I said, hey, I know I want to run a business. I just don't know what it's going to be. So I need some time to think and some time to really figure out what that business is going to be. So I remember it like it was yesterday. I was on this ski lift on the right-hand side here, right? And I'm talking to one of my friends, and he said, Chandler, I heard you just launched this book, because I just launched a book right as I was going to Austria. He said, Chandler, I heard you just launched this book. I heard it's doing well. Is the book actually making any money? I heard that books don't make any money. And I thought for a minute, and I said, well, you know what? Actually, we were snowboarding all day yesterday, and while we were snowboarding, the book made over $400. And it's as if, as I said that, as those words came out of my mouth, the light bulb went off, right? This is passive income. This is that mystical thing that Robert Kiyosaki was talking about that I never thought I would achieve. So to answer that question, did it make any money? Well, the book made close to it made exactly $6,639.84 in month one, $4,400 in month two, $3,100 in month three, $2,500 in month four, $3,400 in month five. And the book kept bringing in passive income month after month after month. Now, not only that, but because of my book, I got started getting interviewed for top podcasts, got featured on the Huffington Post. I got offered a 6 to 7 figure digital publishing deal. I built a 4,000 plus person email list just from that first book. I started a business on the back end. And the biggest thing for me was it finally gave me confidence in what I was doing, right? It gave me confidence to take on bigger and better projects. Now, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but sometimes when you're trying to start a side business, like say $1,000 a month business, you'll fail. And I've failed way too many times to count. And every time it just left me feeling like, man, am I the only idiot that can't figure this out? Like, there must be something wrong with me. And it just starts to wear on your confidence. And I just remember that feeling when I published my book. It was like, oh man, my friends thought it was cool. My parents were proud of me. They were talking to their friends about it. And it's just like, it sounds dumb to say, right? But it really was like, it went a long way for me. And I felt really good about myself. And about my potential. So it led me to take on bigger and better things. So I say all this to say that what I discovered is a book is the best passive income source. Okay, now why a book? Well, there's a couple reasons. There's very low startup costs. So with a lot of businesses that will generate passive income, you got to spend a lot to create the business. Startup costs. It's high margin, so you get to keep almost all the royalties off your book. You get to tap into an existing ecosystem. There's hundreds of millions of buyers inside Amazon, and over 70% of all books sold are sold through Amazon. So you have hundreds of millions of buyers at your disposal. You don't have to bring the customers. Amazon will bring those customers for you. And then lastly, and this is my favorite, there's been some recent radical changes in the publishing industry that make it easier than ever to publish a book, and they make it easier than ever to buy a book. So if you think about this, you used to have to walk down the street, go to a bookstore, hope that they have the book you want, find the book that you want, buy the book that you want, come back to your house. Now you can just go on Amazon, right? You go on your Kindle, you go on Amazon, you buy it one click. So not only are there hundreds of millions of buyers buying tons more books, but it's easier than ever for you to publish your book through Amazon. Okay, now this is really important because it means you no longer need a publisher. There no longer needs to be a middleman. It's also more than just a book. Like, obviously a book is good because it creates passive income, but it also gives you stats, gives you connections, gives you confidence, like I already mentioned, and mailbox money, which Jesse will probably know. This is kind of an old music term where you just walk out to the mailbox and it's the royalty checks. Like now it's not even mailbox money. It's just like literally gets dropped straight into your bank account, right? So I like to think of writing a book. It's kind of like a book is kind of like a key that opens the door to Narnia, right? There's this whole new world so has anyone seen the Chronicles of Narnia?
Oh yeah, love it.
If you have, you know that there's this whole new world that they unlock when they unlock the door to that cupboard, right? Well, publishing a book is kind of the same thing, where when you become a published author, you open this door to Narnia, and there's so many more opportunities. There's this whole world that you didn't even know existed. I saw a few people have seen that book, or sorry, seen that movie as well. So I want to give you a couple examples, just mainly because I know it's easy to think, oh, this could work for Chandler, but it couldn't, might not work for me. So Hal Elrod, this is a good friend of mine. He published The Miracle Morning, and he makes $25,000 a month from his self-published book. This is Otakara. She's one of my students, and she was working 2 jobs to make ends meet, and all of her income was earned actively. But then she published a book, and she doubled her income, all passive income from her books. She was able to quit both of her jobs and homeschool her daughter. Pretty cool, huh? And I'm sure you can imagine what that would be like for you if you were able to do the same thing. This is, we have any fiction folks in the audience? Any fictioneers? So this is Steve Windsor. He dreamed of being an author, but never stuck with it, never finished his book. He became a multiple best-selling author and started bringing in thousands of dollars in passive income. And I said it's more than just the book. This is what I meant. So this is Kat Wanders. She said, I wanted to say a huge thank you for this whole amazing group. My dad got to see his daughter become a bestseller before he died, which was his last wish. And thanks to my successful launch, my business has boomed an extra $30,000 this month. I cannot thank you enough. So what I love about this is that you can see that like a book transcends, like it's not about the book, right? In the grand scheme of life, it really is about so much more than just the business success. And I'll give you one more example here. This is from Susie. She said, I cannot stress how amazing it feels to publish a book. I have a lady who has recently read my book. I've known her for some time and her situation was dire. She was on a hefty antidepressant dose and was placed on suicide watch earlier this year. She's been taken off suicide watch and she attributes the change to following the steps in my book. So pretty cool, huh? So my question to you guys, and I'd love to hear from you in the chat box. Do you guys kind of see the power of a book, not only just for your income, but also for your personal fulfillment? I'd love to hear from you. Yes, yes. All right, perfect. So my promise is in the remainder of this webinar. Hopefully you've already learned some stuff. Hopefully you've already got some notes. With the remainder of our time together, I'm going to walk you through how to write a book and how to set up $1,000 per month passive income business in a weekend without writing a single word if you don't want to. Okay, I'm going to break this down. Nikki said, yes, yes, love it. Sherry, yes, cool. I'm going to break this down into 3 secrets. These are 3 secrets that I've learned over time by not only writing and publishing 6 books of my own, but by also teaching thousands of people this process, right? So secret number 1, I'm going to walk you through how to earn $10,000 or more from every book that you write. Secret number 2, how to find your $1,000 per month idea in 5 minutes. Secret number 3, how to write your book in a weekend without writing a single word. And then at the end, I'm going to share with you for a few minutes some info on my premium training program called Self-Publishing School. Okay, this webinar is going to run about to the hour mark, and then we'll have 30 minutes of Q&A. So you can go ahead and be posting your questions throughout, or you can save them till the end, and I'm going to answer any and all questions that you have. So let's dive into lesson number 1. This is how to earn $10,000 or more from every book that you write. You guys tracking with me? You guys tracking with me so far? Awesome. Johannes says, okay. Let's see. Susan says, I liked secret number 2. You can do that over and over. Love it. So I'm going to transition here. You see this on the screen. There's a couple screenshots. These are actually my bank accounts a couple years ago. Now, I want to back up in the story and pick up where I left off a second ago. So I published this book. It's making thousands of dollars a month in passive income. Then I dropped out of school. I, started my business, and I did what any good entrepreneur does. I invested all that money back into the business. And then I also borrowed $15,000 from friends and family to try to make the business work. But here's the thing. The business was just bombing. Failing in a massive way. So I remember this day like it was yesterday. I checked my bank account and all my bank accounts were negative, and I was 15 grand in debt to friends and family. Then the worst part, the lowest part for me was I was looking for something to eat at my house, and I looked in the cupboard, and this is an actual picture. I took it because it was just like, it was so funny. I couldn't, it's one of those things that's so ridiculous that you have to laugh. So this is a double in-piece peanut butter sandwich. That's all I had left. I was like, all right, well, I guess there's this loaf of bread with 2 end pieces, and I'm going to throw some peanut butter on it, and this is going to be my lunch because I got nothing else. And I just remember thinking, gosh, I am on the brink of failing. This is the one thing that I didn't want to do. Is fail, and I'm on the verge of like moving back in with my parents. So I was racking my brain. I'm like, how can I get out of this? And maybe you've been in a serious, maybe you've been in a similar position like this in the past, where you're just racking your brain, thinking like, gosh, how do I turn things around? And Chris said with a sad face on it. Yeah, I didn't even notice that. I guess the bread does have a sad face on it. That's even more depressing. But so I'm racking my brain. I'm like, how can I turn this around? That's when I decided to write and publish another book. That book was Book Launch. Published that book. The book brought in 3,334 leads in the first 55 days. And it brought in $92,228.50 for my business, all in 55 days. Now, this is in addition to the thousands and thousands of dollars in book royalties. Now, if you don't know what a lead is simply, it's a name and email or that sort of thing of someone who wants to do business with you and learn more about what you're doing, right? So this represents a ton of opportunity for my business, all for my book. Now, this book also led to me being featured on the homepage of the Your Money section in Business Insider. And which, by the way, how many of you guys would like to be featured in a publication like Business Insider, right? Huffington Post, Fast Company, stuff like that. This sort of thing comes. It's what's behind that door to Narnia when you publish a book. So to give you just an example of results, this book helped me grow from 0 to $1.32 million in 11 months with my business. And this book still brings in leads in business every single month, right? Now, continuing the story a little bit further. Fast forward a few months, and I show up to one of my company retreats, and I find out from one of my employees that my business partner is trying to kick me out of my business. It's like a kick in the stomach, right? This thing that I've had blood, sweat, and tears to build, my business partner is now trying to kick me out. And so we went through mediation and we went through a buyout, and I bought him out for multiple six figures, went multiple six figures in debt for the first time in my life. Back to the drawing board. I got to figure it out again, right? Well, what do you think I did? I did what I did every other time. That's what saved me every other time, was writing and publishing a book. So I published this book, and this helped me pay off six figures in debt in the span of 7 months. Grew the business another 1.5 million in 7 months. And it really turned things around. Now, I say all this to say that a book is my cash printing machine. It sounds kind of cheesy, but it literally is. It's my get out of jail free card, right? It's what I do every time I need to generate business, need to generate income, or need to turn things around in my life. So what I want to show you is kind of how you can replicate this success for yourself in 3 steps. And it's what I call the 3 steps to a successful book launch. Now, step number one is to get a good looking cover that grabs attention. How many of you guys have heard the saying, don't judge a book by its cover? You guys have probably heard that, right? Now, how many of you judge books by its cover, right? All of us. And if you say no to that, then I know you're lying, because we all judge books by its cover, right? Like, I mean, look at Jesse's book, Lifestyle Entrepreneur. That's a great cover. The title is bold. It stands out. There's a good image on the cover. His name is big text, right? We judge books by their cover. And I'm amazed at how people they'll spend years writing a book, and then they'll spend 5 minutes and $5 on their cover. So you need to get a good cover. Now, there's a couple key attributes to a good cover. Number one is it needs to grab attention. Number two is the title needs to be easy to read. It's very important. It needs to pop off the page, because imagine yourself browsing through Amazon. This cover needs to jump. And I'll give you a couple examples. I'll just back up in the slideshow. Like, look at Published. This is a unique cover. The red pops. The title pops. You can easily see Published. You can see the subtitle. And there it is, right? Book Launch. It's a unique cover, unique color. It's kind of like an orangish yellow. And then Book Launch is very bold. You can easily see what's going on, right? So those are a couple examples of good covers. Number two is build a launch team. And I'm going to break down this in just 1 second. Number three, this is a little bit more advanced, but it's getting ongoing reviews to keep your book at the top of Amazon. The Amazon algorithm weighs very, very highly towards reviews. So it's important that you get reviews. Not only do you get reviews up front when you launch your book, but you continue to get reviews in an ongoing manner so that you stay at the top of the charts. Now, reviews in Amazon, it's kind of like reviews anywhere else, right? I'll tell you, I was in Vancouver a couple weekends ago, and we were looking for a place to eat. Well, what do you think I did? It's probably what you do, which is like check on Yelp, right? And pick the place with the best reviews. Or if you don't use Yelp, you probably use the eye test method, which is you're walking down the street, you see two restaurants, one on one side of the street, one on the other side of the street. One side of the street, there's no one in there. There's like two people. The other side is packed. Which restaurant are you going to go to? You can go to the one that's packed, right? It's social proof. And so reviews are just very, very powerful social proof. So it's important that you focus on them up front and then also continuously. Now I'm going to give you a little shortcut for this. Which, by the way, you guys, is this making sense so far? You guys taking notes with me? Learning something? All right, so I'm going to break down how to create a launch team. A launch team is simply a small group of people supporting your book. Okay, so when I say small group, it could be 5 people, it could be 10 people, it could be 25, it could be as much as 50 people, right? Who is this going to be? Well, it could be friends, colleagues, family, customers, a mom at your son's t-ball practice. It could be, you know, anyone, right? Anyone that would support you and anyone that would support your book. Now, there's a couple things. There's what they agree to do and what they're going to get in return. Number one, what they agree to do. They agree to read your book, leave a review on day one, and then share the book with friends or support the launch, right? And what they get in return is a free digital copy of your book. And I like to put their name in the book, in the digital copy. And those are the two big things that they get. Now, in addition to that, there's a New York Times study that says that 81% of people want to write a book, but we know that less than 1% of people actually do. So there's a ton of people out there who want to write a book, but they just don't have the guts to do it. So when they see you writing and publishing your book, they want to live vicariously through you, and that's through your launch team. Okay, and they want to be on your launch team and help you launch your book. Now, in addition to this, obviously, baked in here, you see it, you're going to get a ton of reviews. So this helps ensure that you have a really strong launch. If you take nothing else from this webinar, please write this down, take a picture of this slide, whatever you need to do, because this is worth the price of admission just right here. If you do nothing else from a marketing perspective, this is very, very powerful. Now, what happens when you follow these steps? I want to give you some case studies here. This is David McKay. He emailed me the other day. It was exactly a year from when he published his book. And he said, hey, look, I put out a couple books. They've brought in over $10,000 in book revenue. For my business, which is a photography business, he says brought in $45,655 in business directly from his book. And it brings in about 30 to 40 leads per week. Pretty incredible, right? The business folks in the room, whether you're brick and mortar or online business, could you imagine 30 to 40 leads for your business, or even just that $45,000 in revenue over the span of a year? Pretty cool, right? We have any freelancers in the house? This is Lise Cartwright. She said, I traded my hours for dollars as a freelancer and spent 6 months trying to figure it out. But she published her book, started making $3,000 to $4,000 a month in passive income. Nice little chunk of change there. This is Dave Rogenmoser. He wrote and published his book, Beyond the Grind, brought in $3,864 in royalties within 60 days. He used that book to build an email list. He used that email list to launch a course. That course brought in over $400,000 in 8 months and over $1 million within 18 months. And then he started a software company called Proof, right? Which maybe you've heard of that. I'm an advisor for that company. And it's like all this happened, and he had no idea this was going to happen when he started with that book, right? So it's kind of pretty incredible what can happen after you make that decision to publish your book. I'll give you one more here because I know we got more of an entrepreneurial focused crowd here. This is Emily Rose. She wrote and published a book called Break Your Bad Love Habits and currently makes $10,000 a month from her coaching business, only working 6 hours a week with a handful of clients. So she says, look, Chandler, these are people who work with me and I'm credible because of my book. You guys tracking with me so far? You're not falling asleep on me, are you? All right, let's keep moving. So the truth is, you don't need to be tech savvy to launch a book. You don't need to spend a ton of money on marketing, and you don't need a publisher. There's a lot of common misconceptions. We're moving into lesson number 2. This is how to find your $1,000 per month idea in 5 minutes. I want to take a quick poll here, and I want you to type yes in the chat box if you have a book idea, no in the chat box if you do not have a book idea. Okay. A lot of people think that they don't have a book idea or that their idea won't make money. So that's what I want to talk about in this portion. And I want to really just drill down into like, okay, how do you find the book idea? And how do you make sure that it's a good one? Okay. I'm seeing yeses. See Larry, Sylvia, Susan, Sherry, Becky, Chris, Denise, Andre, Mary, Sherry, Kimberly, Chris, Kay says no. Louise says no. Ruby says no. Yakub says yes, and it's already written. Duke says yes, and it's fiction. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so we've got kind of like a split bunch here. So I'll be relatively quick through this because I want to make sure that I help the people who don't have an idea, but this will also be helpful even if you do have an idea. And I want to start by just poking a little bit of fun at myself. This is me at like 19, 20 years old. And I just want to say that if this guy can write a book and if this guy has ideas for a book, then you certainly can as well. Right? This is me when I lived in Des Moines, Iowa. Kind of a funny picture, but I say that because a lot of people think that they don't have anything to write about. If you're anything like me, I was just compelled to share knowledge that I had. I felt like I learned some things the hard way, and I wanted to share that with other people. So my promise to you is like, if you have a topic that you can write 5 pages about, I'll show you how to turn that into a full book. And that's via my idea finder. Now, these are some prompting questions that will pull an idea or find an idea where you might think there isn't one. So number 1 is, what are you most passionate about? What's your favorite hobby? What are the things that you like to do for fun? What do you get paid for? Or what's your expertise? Are you a knowledge worker? Like, meaning like, are you a teacher or an accountant or a lawyer or someone that gets paid to do knowledge work based on the things that you know in your head? Well, if that's the case, and you've probably figured out some unique methods or things that you do, you've probably learned that the hard way over time. That would be really helpful for other people. What are people coming to you for advice on? Or lastly, in the last prompt, and you guys can take a picture of this if you'd like so that you'll remember this, what's a topic that you know a lot about or that you can't stop talking about? Okay? So what you know, hopefully, and I'd love to hear from you guys, hopefully this will jog some ideas and help you figure out kind of what you could write about for the folks who don't know what they would write about. I'll give you some examples. This is from Kat Wanders, and she turned a hobby, something she enjoyed, yoga, into a book and into a full-blown business, right? This is for the fiction folks. Undercover Amish. This is a fiction book by Ashley Emma. And it's a novel. It's got over 200 reviews, right? Doing well. Pet Loss Grief. This is from Wendy Vanderpool. She's done multiple books through the program, and she has all these different types of pet loss grief books to help people when their pets die. A Spanish cookbook. You know, we have a lot of people who write in in different languages. So whether you want to do an English cookbook, whether you want to do a Spanish cookbook, or any language, there you go. And lastly, this is a memoir, right? So if you're thinking like, hey, I have life experiences like that I'd like to share in the form of a memoir, this could be helpful as well. So this is a book called Destination Dotson, and this is a travel memoir by one of our members, Lisa Fleetwood from Australia, right? So just some examples of different ideas and how you can really turn so we can really turn kind of our ideas into sorry, I got distracted by the chat there. Yeah, this is why I have it as private. If it distracts me, I know it distracts you too. But just wanted to give you some examples here of how you can literally turn any idea into a book. Okay, now to set the record straight here, the truth, there's no such thing as a crazy idea. There's no idea too crazy. There's also no new ideas. A lot of people think they have to have a new idea, or they come to me and they say, Chandler, this has already been said. Like, I'm worried because there's a bunch of books on this topic. My first book was on productivity, and there are tons of productivity books, right? But the book's still sold because, as they say, the riches are in the niches. When you kind of narrow down your topic, you can really reach a bigger audience. And then the last thing I want to set straight is that you do not need to be an expert in your topic. A lot of people have kind of like this Einstein syndrome where they feel like they need to be a PhD or just an expert on the topic. That couldn't be further from the truth. Maybe you've Dell said my voice is a little bit weird. Sorry, I guess I just went through robot mode. That's frustrating. I just said you don't need to be tech savvy to write a book. Now you know. Apparently, I'm not that tech savvy. All right, perfect. Good. It's fixed. So you don't need to be an expert. That's the big takeaway here. Maybe you've heard this saying: if you're getting chased by a bear, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than your friend. Well, here's kind of a funny picture here. In this case, this guy that's running away out front, he doesn't have to be faster than this elephant. He just has to be faster than his buddy, right? And so I say this to illustrate a point, which is you don't have to be an expert. You just have to know slightly more than the person that you're teaching, right? You don't have to know, you don't have to know everything. You just have to know more than the person that you're teaching, or you just have to have life lessons that you can translate to them through your book. Is this making sense, guys? People are thinking that picture is funny. All right, we're moving fast here. We're moving into lesson number 3. Are you guys tracking with me? And is it making sense on these first 2 so far? Take a swig of some tea. Yes, awesome, perfect. All right, so we're moving into the home stretch. This is how to write your book in a weekend without writing a single word. Now, I mentioned earlier on this webinar, and Larry says, yes, we're tracking. Good. I mentioned earlier on this webinar that I was a C-level English student. I think that the English teachers hated me. I wasn't a very good writer. And in fact, I hated writing. Now, this isn't a picture of me, but this might as well have been me every time that I went to write a paper or anything for that matter. I'd watch my friends. They'd write a paper. They'd turn it in an hour later and get an A. I'd be up all night at the library. I'm trying to write this paper, and I'd turn it in the next day, and I'd get a C, right? So writing was a very difficult and a very intimidating process. Excuse me. Now, you can imagine when I went to write my first book, I was very intimidated. It's like, wow, I can barely even write a paper, much less a whole book. So I did something that I recommend that you do as well. And in fact, you're doing it if you're on this webinar. I went to someone who's been where I wanted to go, and I asked them for advice, right? I got them to help me. So in this case, it was a friend of mine, Adam Carroll. He was a mentor of mine. And I said, Adam, you've written a book. How'd you do it? Teach me. And he taught me this process and introduced me to what I call the magic of mind mapping. Now, a mind map, pretty simple concept, right? You're looking at one right here. It's where you put a topic in the center of the page, and then you brain dump everything that you can think of on that topic, right? You write down everything that you can think of. And what happens usually, what I see happen for people, is they'll start this process and they'll say, Chandler, I've got something I can maybe write 3 pages about. And they'll go through this process of taking 15, 30 minutes. And now they're saying, Chandler, I've got 2 or 3 books that I could write. I just got to figure out which one to write first, right? Which is a much, much better problem to have. And you're going to discover in this process that you've got way more knowledge up in that noggin of yours than you think that you do. Now I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create a mind map. Number 1, you're going to write the book topic in the middle of the page, right? So take a blank sheet of paper, write your book topic in the middle of the page. Number 2, you're going to write out everything that you know about that topic. This is where you do a brain dump, all the stories that you know, examples that you have, lessons that you've learned, books that you've read, ideas, etc. Step number 3, you're going to organize those topics into groups or into sections. And then step number 4, you're going to use those sections to form your book outline. Okay, so this is kind of like your chapter by chapter roadmap for your book. Now, once you do this, writing the book is actually the easy part. A lot of people think that writing a book is hard. It's not hard. It's only hard because they haven't done the pre-work. Once you do the pre-work, it makes the book writing process actually pretty easy. And I break this process down into 3 steps. You do the mind mapping, which I just talked about. You do the outlining, which I also just talked about. And then you move into step 3, which is just kind of like a choose your own adventure, right? Where either A, you write the book yourself, or B, you speak the book. Now, no matter which one you choose, you just repeat this process chapter by chapter by chapter. So when I did my first book, I chose the writing method. I would, each chapter I'd go 10 minutes mind mapping, 10 minutes turning that outline 10 minutes turning that mind map into an outline for that chapter, then 45 minutes writing the actual chapter. And then you just repeat that chapter by chapter by chapter. And it's a pretty fast process. Or if you're speaking the book, which I'll show you how to do that in just a second, speak the chapter for like 15 minutes, and then you move on. And that's even faster. Now I want to talk about the power of dictation, which is basically just recording yourself speaking and then having that transcribed. The good news is that most of us speak faster than we type. So you're going to be able to capture your ideas and write your book much, much faster by speaking your book than by writing it. So I'm going to break this down. This is very simple, very easy. But I'm going to break down the process of how you speak your book in 3 steps. So step 1, you take the device, any device, say like probably the device that you're watching this webinar on right now, and you simply speak or record the book. Step number 2, you get it transcribed. Then step number 3, you polish it off, right? You can polish it off yourself, or you can hire a good editor to polish it off for you. So the question is, how fast can you have a rough draft? Well, the ideal length of a book is 40 to 75 Word doc pages, which is about 15,000 to 25,000 words. Now, this is a little on the shorter side. You can certainly go longer, especially for fiction books, but let's use this for illustrative purposes, right? The average person speaks about 150 words per minute, unless you're like me and you speak way faster than that. And so you doing some simple math here, you're going to be able to easily speak your book in a few hours, right? Definitely in a weekend, which is the promise on this webinar. Like, you can easily speak your book in a weekend. You can easily write out your book in a weekend using this process, because it takes something complicated and it makes it simple. Now, I want to give you a couple examples here. Excuse me. This is from Pat Flynn. He heard about this. He learned about this process and used it to write his most recent book. He said, "I've been able to flow much better with my voice than I am with my keyboard. I have thousands of words that are coming out through each of these sessions through dictation." Okay. Now, can you imagine this for yourself? Each time you sit down to write, having thousands of words coming out in each of those sessions, how much easier and how much faster would it be to write your book, right? It'd go much, much faster. Here's another example. This is Ray Edwards. He says, "I believe we're in an age where it's so easy to dictate and to get that turned into type that I don't know why anyone would do it any other way. When I first heard about this method, I wrote 2 books in 1 weekend," right? So I'm just saying, hey, write 1 book in 1 weekend, right? He did 2 in 1 weekend with this method. Then one last example here. This is from Hannah Latonic. She said, "Originally, I despised mind maps." Maybe some of you can relate to this. "I now love mind mapping. I can see my book come to life without yet writing a single word of it. I went from 0 to 13,000 words in 2 weeks, simply from first mind mapping and outlining." Okay, so you guys tracking with this? I mean, you see how powerful this is? Can you see this working for you? See this kind of making the process easier and faster? The truth here is you do have time to write a book. A lot of people think they don't have time to write a book. It can be done in as little as a weekend, and you don't have to be the next Hemingway, or you don't have to be a great writer to write the book. Editors will go a really long way. And I just saw Sherry put this, said, I love the speaking idea. I love to write, but not type. Thank you. Exactly. Right. If speaking is easier for you, then, this is going to be a good method for you. All right. So far in this webinar, we're moving fast, folks. I've covered 3 secrets up to this point. So how to earn $10,000 or more from every book that you write, how to find your $1,000 per month idea in 5 minutes, and then how to write your book in a weekend without writing a single word if you don't want to. Now, let me ask you a question. Has this presentation felt a little bit like this? It felt a little bit like this poor girl here with a just kind of open up the fire hose on you. I've been covering a lot. How many of you guys are excited about what you just learned? Is this helpful? How many of you guys are feeling maybe a little bit overwhelmed because we've covered a lot thus far? So obviously I've squeezed in as much as humanly possible into our time together, into the short amount of time that we have here together. But I've also, because of that, because, I can only cover so much on this training, I've put together a special program to help you write and publish your book faster. So what I want to ask you, and you can just type yes in the chat box, is can I have your permission to show that to you? So I want to take just a couple minutes to share about this training with you, and then we can we can wrap up with a Q&A here. Yes, yes, yes. Helpful, so helpful, me. Yes. All right, perfect. So I want to share with you about my premium training program called Self-Publishing School. It's the only tested, proven 90-day online training program that guides you step by step from blank page to bestseller in 90 days. It's going to save you tons of time, tons of money, tons of frustration, and show you how to leverage your book for more success, more income, and more freedom. It's everything you need to know to publish your book from A to Z. We've got an online membership portal. We've got video training, PDFs, outlines, templates, checklists, you name it, that'll take you through the whole process. Now, the total value of this program is $2,997. And you can kind of see a little example of the membership portal here. Now, I know this system gets results because I've used it to write 6 best-selling books, to build a 7-figure business, and to help thousands of people with their books all in just 2 years. Right? Here's another example. This is David McKay. He wrote 2 books in 89 days. Continues to sell an average of 7 to 10 copies a day at $5.99. It's Emily Rose. Out of all the substantial investments I made in online business trainings and courses, this was the only program that took me from A to Z. So thank you for reviving my faith in online business programs. Christy Whitman hit number 9 on the New York Times list using this process. Who else does this work for? This works for regular people who are just looking to add a source of passive income. This works for people who want to grow their business. This works for people who want to share their life experience. And even for the person who's like, hey, look, I just want to write a book off my bucket list. The big objection that I get to like, hey, I want to do a book and I want to join your program, but the timing just isn't right for me to write a book right now. And now this is, I'll leave this to the legendary Zig Ziglar. He says, if you wait for all the lights to turn green before leaving home, you'll never get started on your way to the top. What he's saying here is there's never a perfect time to do anything great, right? There's never a perfect time to start a business. There's never a perfect time to write a book. There's never a perfect time to have a kid. If you're waiting for the perfect time for any of those things, you're going to keep on waiting. So you have to get started before you're ready. Now, in addition to Self-Publishing School, I'm going to throw in a few more things here to sweeten the pot. I'm also going to throw in my bestseller book launch blueprint. This is the exact day-by-day system for successfully launching your book. I'm also going to throw in my book finishing and book marketing checklists. These are the exact checklists that I use for publishing and marketing books. So what you're going to get, lifetime access to Self-Publishing School, the bestseller book launch blueprint, and the book finishing and book marketing checklists. The total value on all these things is $4,491. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to throw in a few more bonuses just to make this a no-brainer. Number 1 is my top secret review sweeper. So I mentioned earlier how it's important to have reviews on an ongoing basis. This is something that you can literally copy and deploy for your book. It's a proprietary system that I've created. I call it the review sweeper because it just sweeps in reviews day after day, week after week, month after month. You'll literally just watch reviews come in and stay on top of the Amazon charts. This is a $1,997 value. Now, This is just some show you kind of the proofs in the pudding here, right? Like my book Launch has over 719 reviews on Amazon. My book Published, which just recently launched a few months ago, has over 423 reviews on Amazon, right? You go look at these books right now, you'll probably see a review like in the last day or two, in the last like 3 or 4 days at the most, just from this review sweeper, right? It continues to work day in, day out. I'm also going to add a bonus, which is a bunch of discounts. So think of any writing tool, marketing app, done for you marketing service, etc. that you need. We've got all kinds of exclusive discounts just for the self-publishing school community, because our community is so large. All these service providers, for anything that you can need, you're going to get discounts on that. I'm also going to throw in weekly Q&A calls with me. This is huge because I don't do any personal coaching. It'll cost you $1,000 an hour, and I just don't do it. Like I'm scaling a massive company, and so it's not the best use of my time to do a lot of this, so I don't do it. This is the only avenue where I do this, where I personally help people, like in a one-on-one manner. And so you can show up every single week. I'm in the mastermind community. I'm answering questions, any and all questions that you have, whether it's about writing a book, marketing a book, publishing a book, or growing your business. I'm there to answer those questions for you. You can ask your questions at any part of the process, but then you also get to learn from other people's questions along the way too. Okay. So this is a $4,000 per month value. I got 2 more for you. I really wanted to make this a no-brainer. This is a personal coaching package. This is a $1,997 value. So you're going to get 6 one-on-one calls with your personal book coach. This is someone who's assigned based on your needs. And whether you're, fiction, whether you're writing fiction, we have a fiction coach. If you're in some obscure time zone, we have a coach, I promise you, that will be able to work with your schedule. So you're going to get 6 calls with your personal coach. They're going to kick your butt in gear and make sure that you get this book finished, and also provide the one-on-one guidance that you need to make sure you don't get stuck, but then also to make sure that you maximize the success of your book. Bonus number 5 here, and this is the last one. This is access to our A-Team Outsourcers Rolodex. This is a $3,879 value. So this is the exact people we use for our books. So I'm talking cover designers, editors, formatters, you name it. These are people who can do all the work for you. They're going to save you tons of time and tons of money. I know that recently this saved one of our students just like $1,000 just on the editing. So when I say $3,879 in value, like that's literally the amount of money that you could save by using the people on this outsourcers list. So just to recap what you're going to get here: lifetime access to the program, the bestseller book launch blueprint, book marketing and book finishing checklists, my top secret review sweeper that you can personally copy. You're also going to get discounts on services and tools that you may need, weekly Q&A calls with me, personal coaching package, and then our A-Team Outsourcers Rolodex. Now, the total value on all of these things is $17,361. Now, I'm obviously not going to charge you that, but let's pretend for about 30 seconds that I did. And if I did charge you that, and if all this did was help you start bringing passive income in the door every single month, would it be worth that? I think so, absolutely, right? If all this did was save you tons of time, frustration, and money, and help you get your first book out, would it be worth it? If all this did was help you build a legacy and share your wisdom with the world, would it be worth it? I think so, 100%. You can see why this is a good deal at $17,361. And actually, this sells on the site. You can go on the site right now, and it sells for $3,997. But because you're on this webinar, and because you're a friend of Jesse's, I want to do something special, and I'm going to offer you the opportunity to get started today on this webinar for just $19.97. Okay, and we also have some payment plans available. All you need to do is head on over to self-publishingschool.com/special right now. You can head on over to the page, check it out, and then enroll in the program. Come back in and comment in the chat box. Let me know that you're in, because I have a very special fast action bonus just for people who join on this webinar that I'm going to tell you about in just a little bit. Now, also on this page, we have a cheaper option So it's a little bit over half the price. And the only thing that's different is we take off the last two bonuses, right? The personal coaching as well as the outsourcer's Rolodex. So if that's something that's more affordable for you, I would go for that. Either way, we have payment plans and payment options available. All you need to do for all those details is head on over to self-publishingschool.com/special, or you can just click that orange Learn More button. Now I want to take a minute to put price in perspective, because a lot of people, they'll say, Chandler, this is an expensive investment, right? And I'm not going to disagree with this. This is no small sum of money, but I do want to put price in perspective, right? The normal price on the site is $3,997, and so this is 50% off of that price. Also, price of a writing degree. If you were to go to school and get a writing degree, you'd probably pay about $20,000 a year for a grand total of $80,000. And at the end of that, you almost definitely would not have a published book, right? And then lastly, if you pay a publishing company, you're going to pay anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. And so when you look at this and compared to any of those things, Self-Publishing School is a steal, right? It's an incredible value. And we have people tell us all the time, Chandler, I went another route and I wish I wouldn't have, because I spent way more money and I didn't get the value that you guys are giving here. So a couple things here, money back guarantees. We've got two of them. Number one is the 30-day honest try money back guarantee. You can sign up today. If you give the program an honest try and you don't get results, or if you just don't like it, just ask for your money back. Okay. Number two, the bestseller guarantee. If you follow the steps laid out in this program and you don't hit number one in at least one category on Amazon, we'll give you a full refund. I'm able to do these things because I know the program works, and I put my money where my mouth is. One more thing I want to highlight here is our Student for Student Promise. The gist of this is we partner with an incredible organization called Pencils of Promise. They build schools for kids in need in third world countries. So we have a one-for-one program here. So this is our Student for Student Promise, like I said. When you enroll in Self-Publishing School, you provide education for a child in need. Okay, so one Self-Publishing School student equals one student education funded. I'm a firm believer that your business exists to do good and to make the world a better place. And if you're not making the world a better place through business, then you might as well just stop. You might as well just go out of business, right? Because business is just an incredible vehicle to make people's lives better. Does this program work for fiction? I get this question a lot. Yes, it absolutely does. I mean, you've seen multiple case studies of fiction authors on this webinar. We have a fiction-specific coach, you name it. And then lastly here, I say so easy an 8-year-old can do it because this is our youngest student, Emma Sumner. She wrote and published her book, The Fairies of Waterfall Island. It brought in $4,000 in 3 months. She raised a ton of money for autism awareness. She got on all these TV stations, Fox, CBS, ABC, you name it. She did a book signing with 10,000 people. And now she's reading at a 6th grade reading level, right? So if an 8-year-old can do it, then you definitely can do it. And there are zero excuses. This is a cool little thing. And you'll actually see this video on the page when you click over. This is Emma and I a few weeks ago on Good Morning Sacramento, talking about her doing her book and that sort of thing. So you're on the webinar today. We're about to head into the Q&A, which you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat. But you're on this webinar. You have two choices. Number one is you can try to do this on your own and not invest in SPS, which is obviously 100% risk-free. Or you can try SPS, risk-free, like I mentioned, and you can have my team help you finish your book. If the program doesn't get results for you, just ask for your money back and you'll get it. That's how confident I am that we're going to get results for you. Okay. So going through all this, this is all that's included. Once more here, total value, $17,361. One last thing I want to add in there for anyone who enrolls in the program while we're on this webinar in the next few minutes here. Okay. So if you go and enroll in the program in the next few minutes, this is a fast action bonus. I like to reward people who take action because chances are they're going to be successful with the program, right? Like if you're an action taker, then you're going to implement the stuff that I teach you, and we're going to have a lot of fun together. And we're going to make a lot of money together, which is great. So I have this fast action bonus for people who invest in the next few minutes on this webinar. I'll personally promote your book to the Self-Publishing School community, and also to our Facebook page, which has over 60,000 people on it when it launches. Now, this is only for people who enroll on the webinar. So if that's something you're interested in, then go ahead and head on over to self-publishingschool.com/special. Okay, self-publishingschool.com/special. And also, you can click that orange Learn More button. That'll get you there too. Couple things. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat box. I will answer those in just 1 second. But a couple things. If you have any questions that for some reason I'm unable to answer on this this webinar, you can always email support@self-publishingschool.com, or you can call us. We got people standing by right now. And you can give us a call, and they'll happily see, hey, you can just chat with them, see if Self-Publishing School is a good fit for you. They can also chat with you, answer any questions you have, or if you're just having trouble, with filling out the order form or anything like that, they can certainly help with that. So with that, I'll pass it back to Jesse while you guys are posting your comments and questions in the chat. And then we'll go ahead and answer some questions here. So Jesse, you still with us?
Yep, I sure am. You hear me okay?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Hey, what a great presentation there. Thanks so much for that. And in the spirit of fast action and taking action, I want to double down on what you offered for everybody that decides to join Self-Publishing School today on this webinar. I'll also promote your book launch to the whole Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press community on Facebook and via email. And that's an additional exposure of over 50,000 people when your book is ready to go. So if you're thinking of going down the self-publishing route, Chandler is the guy that I recommend. You won't see me hosting anybody else that teaches self-publishing. And I know that one of his slide points there was that you don't need a publisher, and you don't. Even though I run a publishing company, and I love running a publishing company, but you don't need one, right? So if you want to go this approach and self-publish your book, then Chandler is the guy I absolutely recommend you work with. And if you register now here on this webinar with, I'll also promote your book to over 50,000 people in my community. And trust me, they love books. And when we launch books, it moves the needle. So imagine Chandler's whole community, our whole community combined, supporting your book getting out in the world. That's what's at stake. And I just want to throw that into the mix there, Chandler.
That's awesome, Jesse. I appreciate you doing that. And quite frankly, I wish I had that when I was launching my first book. I had like some Facebook friends.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's amazing. I've known you for a while. I really admire how you've built this company and always operate with integrity, and are just a great guy all around. And now, we both have our audiences that have grown, and they both love books. So, why not double down and get a huge exposure, which I can attest to as well. It makes such a difference to have promotional reach and a launch team. And in addition to everything you'll put together with Chandler through Self-Publishing School, you also get that big explosive blast out of the book launch gate when we also promote your books.
Love it. It's awesome, man. Thanks for adding that in there. I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions here. Sherry says, let's see, is the #1 bestseller guarantee for pro and master versions? Yes, it's for both versions. The fast action bonus, that's for both versions, pro or master. Excuse me. The bestseller guarantee, that's for both versions. Yes, that is that. Let's see. I would like to do the payment plan. Okay, how much down would I need, and when do I need to make the first payment? So that's a good question, Cherie. The first payment would be today once you sign up. And then how much down, it depends on which version you get of the program. And actually, I can't remember what the payment plans are offhand. But if you go to self-publishingschool.com/special, you can go down, scroll down to, there should be a button towards the top of the page that says click here for enrollment details. And then you just go down, figure out whether the master version or the pro version is right for you. And then you just go ahead and pick the one that's best for you. And then you fill out those details and sign up there. So that's kind of the best route to take. And then you can figure out what the payment plans are and how that'll work for you. Let's see. Susan, are you sharing the activities you mentioned for taking 5 pages into a full book, or is that in the book you mentioned we would get? Yeah, so the mind map outline right process, that's the exact process that I use for taking a 5 pages of notes and turning that into a proper book. Okay, do I have to live in the US? No, absolutely not. I mentioned this just a little bit earlier, but we have students everywhere, like all around the world, in pretty much every country that you can think of. We have students all over the place, so you don't have to be in the US to be accepted. What if I already published my book? Yeah, so this is a great question because a lot of people, they're like, Chandler, I've already done a book before. Like, is your program going to be too beginner focused? And absolutely not. So, I'll share a story of, we have a student who had published 30 books. And she was like kind of hesitant about joining self-publishing school. We actually had to talk her into it. We're like, hey, look, you're going to get value out of this. There's 2 things that we're really, really good at. Number 1 is helping people finish and publish their book. And number 2, and by a long shot, is marketing and sales. You don't build a business past $5 million in 2.5 years by not being good at driving sales, right? And so that same ability, like, we're going to teach you how to do that for your book. And we're going to teach you how to do that without having to turn into some salesman or without having to be sleazy or any of that stuff. Like, you've seen how I present. You've seen how I carry myself. I'd like to think and I'd like to hope that that doesn't come across as salesy or anything like that. It's pretty matter of fact, right? Like, I'm willing to make fun of myself. I'm willing to, say, hey, look, what you see is what you get. Here's what I have. If you're interested in it, then I'd love to have you. And then we're going to get great results for you, right? If not, no worries. Like, that's totally fine. And hopefully you learn something on this webinar. So really in me teaching you how to market and sell your book, I want to do the same thing. Say, hey, look, you don't have to change your personality. You don't have to be this master manipulator. You just say, hey, I'm sharing what I believe will help people. Because that's really what sales and marketing is I believe deep down inside that I know that if people enroll in self-publishing school, their life will be better. If they don't, then I can't make any guarantees, right? But I know how I can help them, and I know that a book changed my life, and so that's why I'm so passionate about this. Like, that's why I'm doing this webinar right now. It's because I've seen books absolutely change my life. And so I know that I have something that can help people to change their life and to publish their book. So that's really what it's all about, in my opinion, is empowering people to kind of make a change in their life. And if you don't believe in what you're selling, then you're not going to be able to do that. Kind of got off a little bit on a soapbox there. I will circle back and get back to questions. Let's see what else here. Do you guys take a commission off of book sales? No, we don't. We want to put the power back in the hands of the author. So you keep 100% of your royalties, and we will never reach our hand in your pocket to get those royalties. So you keep that. What happens if I don't publish my book in 3 months? The good news is you have lifetime access to the program. So you can go in and you can pause, you can stop, you can start back whenever you want, and go at your own pace. I like to say that you run your own race. All right, like it's kind of like running a 10K, and there's a pace bunny, right? So you want to run a 7-minute mile, you go with this person. If you want to run a 10-minute mile, you go with this person. If you want to run a 13-minute mile, you go with this person. Kind of the same way in self-publishing school. Like, everyone's running their own race. and you can choose how fast or how slow you want to go. And we always tell our students there's SPS time and then there's normal time. SPS time is very fast, right? It's going from 0 to published author in 90 days. And then everyone else out in the real world, they tend to take a pretty long time. So sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I'm going so slow. I feel bad. Like it looks like it's going to take me 8 months. And I'm just like, are you serious? Do you realize you're going from blank page to published author in 8 months, which is like exponentially faster than like 99.9% of all other authors. So just know that you can run your own race. You can start, you can stop whenever you want. Chris asked, what did you do to market your first book that got so much income? Now I'm gonna actually go ahead and take a last call for questions and do kind of a final call for enrolling in self-publishing school if you want to get this fast action bonus from both Jesse and myself. So if you have questions or if you want to get those bonuses, then make sure that you head on over right now to self-publishingschool.com / special. So to answer your question, Chris, what I did is very basic. I have this principle I call the shotgun versus the rifle approach. And basically what it kind of mirrors the 80-20 approach or the Pareto principle, which says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Now, that's kind of what I call the rifle approach versus the shotgun approach. That's what most people take. They just try everything and hope that something works. They hear like, oh, I hear Snapchat's working, I'm going to try that. I hear Facebook's working, I'm going to try that. I hear that, and they just try all this stuff. They spread themselves too thin, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. You try to please everyone, you end up pleasing nobody. So what I'm an advocate of and what I teach in the program and what my advice to you, Chris, would be is to focus on like a handful of things that you do well. I pretty much avoid social media for growing my business. Like I'll post on my personal profile, but we don't have a bunch of social profiles for self-publishing school. And that's because A, I don't think that it works that well. And B, like even if it did, I want to focus on other things that are going to move the needle. So for me personally, it's like, okay, I want to focus on the handful of things, those 20% of things that are going to get me 80% of the results. And I want to ruthlessly focus on that and improve on that, which for me is Facebook. It's things like Facebook ads. It's things like affiliate marketing, like things that are my bread and butter that I've done well in the past. I want to double down on those and really make sure that I'm catering to my strengths there. Chris said guilty. All right. Yeah. We've all been there, Chris. And I can promise you that I won't let you off the hook if you're in the program. And we'll show you how to hone in those marketing skills and sell more of books or whatever you're trying to sell there. Sherry asks, at what point can you go from pro to master? So there's a one-time and one-time only opportunity to upgrade. I want to say it's like the 15-day mark. And then after that, you would have to just join at the full price, which is the price that I'm talking about here. So we have one time where you can kind of do a one-time upgrade if you'd like to upgrade, and then it's just, you can just buy at the normal price. All right, so I'm going to go in the home stretch. We're going to go final call for questions.
And I'll just jump in here, Chandler. I see there's still a bunch of people on the line. If you're on the line at this point, you're probably strongly considering joining self-publishing school. So just want to give you that friendly nudge and say that you'll also get some support from me throughout your book writing process if you do join self-publishing school. So if you're on the fence, just go ahead and jump. You get that extra promotion while we're still here on the line to not only Chandler's Hall audience and community, but also 50,000 plus people in the Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press author community. That's a pretty big way to launch your book and start to achieve some of the success like you've seen Chandler share on this presentation here today. So if you're still here on the line, I'm assuming that you're strongly considering it, and use this chance to ask Chandler any more questions that you have either about the program itself or anything else that we've covered today.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Do I need the master level? Kind of what's the difference between the master and the pro level? I'll just repeat this one last time. So the master level, this is what you see on the screen. This is $19.97. This is discounted from $39.97, which is the normal price on the site. And basically, this includes everything that you see on the screen, plus the fast action bonus, which is Jesse and myself promoting your book when it launches. So that's if you sign up in the next couple of minutes here. And so we're going to go ahead and cut that off in the next couple of minutes as soon as we wrap the webinar. And then the pro version, that's a little bit over half the price. And that basically takes away bonus number 4, which is the personal coaching package, as well as bonus number 5, which is the A-Team outsourcers list. So people to do the book formatting and things like that, kind of do the grunt work for you. So those are the two things that are separate in the pro version. If you're on the call right now, if you're on the call right now, go ahead and head on over to self-publishingschool.com/special. I'm going to just go and do the final call. So I'm going to extend this fast action bonus for the next few minutes after we hang up here. So if you enroll in the next few minutes, then I'll make sure that we mark you down in our system and that you get that fast action bonus as well. So if you haven't already, go ahead and head on over to self-publishingschool.com/special. Or you can just click the orange Learn More button. It should be in the chat box there. And then lastly, write this number down, 864-729-3833. And that's, you can talk to someone if you're having trouble processing your order, if you just want to ask questions about the program. Somebody on the team will be happy to help you. They're standing by right now, or you can just leave a message and they'll give you a call back. So that's all I got, Jesse. Do you have anything else before we wrap here?
I think we covered all the bases here, and hopefully everybody had a really, really positive, valuable learning experience, and get to see more about what Chandler's up to and doing with Self-Publishing School. I know you've seen him both on Bestseller Summit Online and through some Facebook Live we've done into different places within my community, and he's shared a lot of strategy and values for authors. Well, this is his quote unquote day job, right? This is what he actually does every day, is help authors like you get their book done, make it look good, make it pop, and then get it out into the world. So, I'm confident here bringing Chandler on and supporting the offer he's making with Self-Publishing School, because I want more better looking books that are professionally done and everything to publish myself. And whether or not we end up working together and you want to publish with us, or you just self-publish and launch yourself, you got that option ahead of you, and know that you're going to do it right with a good community and the right support. So
love it,
that's
man.
all I got too, man.
Cool. Well, thank you for bringing me on. I saw Susan said, thanks for sharing your expertise, passion, and time with us. Thank you for sharing your time with us as well, Susan. Appreciate having you on. And that's all I got, guys. Hopefully that you learned something. Hopefully, you took some good notes. Congrats to all the people who already enrolled in Self-Publishing School. I look forward to seeing you guys inside Self-Publishing School, hopefully. And for the next couple minutes, like I mentioned, if you sign up in the next few minutes, we'll make sure that you get that fast action bonus as well. So thank you so much, guys. Look forward to talking to you real soon. See ya.